Cleveland Browns faithful, welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. Jeffrey here, special guest Robert over here. Welcome on in. If you are still following this Cleveland Browns team, I have to give you a quick golf clap because it is absolutely abysmal what we have to watch week in and week out. Now on a 5-game losing streak, Robert, let's talk. I want to hear your thoughts about this game in particular real quick, but then I'm going to go away from this game and I want to talk themes with you. The theme of the season, the theme of the downfall, the theme of the offseason, the theme of the organization, the theme of the draft. We might touch it all here tonight. Let's hear from you first.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me on, Jeffrey. Watching that game today, painful, abysmal. The only thing that I can say to my son, to myself, and to the fans is we are trying to lose because Dorian Thompson-Robinson is not an NFL quarterback. He has proved it. And if we were trying to win that football game, they would have put Bailey Zappi in. Jeffrey, they are not trying to win. And that's the only explanation. I mean, that was atrocious football, criminal, egregious. The adjectives, we can't come up with enough adjectives. Whoever went to that game today, myself, I turned down several complimentary free tickets. Whoever paid for tickets for that game today, I mean, they should get a free some free gas from Pilot and Flying J, because that's criminal.
And it's honestly, you dive into the box score, you're like, all right, 3 points. Like, yeah, the tank is on. 47 attempts from DTR, 24 completions for 170 yards, 24 completions on a 3.6 average. That's like high school level stuff there, guys. 28 carries, 114 yards, 4.1 yards per carry. Who really gives a rip? Jerome Ford leaves the game injured, and 170 receiving yards, you know?
How many times are we going to see him throw that swing pass
no
touch? Nope. With no touch. And then we get lucky because they got to go to the review. And I don't know how that they were not behind the line of scrimmage, but not that any of it mattered. But, I mean, those swing passes, he rifled those balls over there. And a couple of them, yeah, maybe they should have been caught. And then a couple of those passes down to Judy. Can you blame Judy for not paying attention today? He shouldn't have been out there, and everybody recognizes it. And next week, I mean, we'll get into next week, but to have him throw the ball 47 times, and yet again, we put up 3 points. Now, Mr. Thompson-Robinson today, he is now in elite company. He has, in the NFL, 1 touchdown and 10 interceptions. Now, there is one other very elite quarterback who started off his career with those numbers, and he was from the San Diego Chargers, and his name was Ryan Leaf. And from folks who are old enough, you know how well his career went on.
Fair enough. Honestly, let's courtesy of Tankathon here. New England, they lose this weekend of games. Tennessee still ahead of us at 3-13 technically, and then there we are, right there, right in front of the New York Giants, because the New York Giants, because they beat us earlier in the year, I believe that's how that functions. So you're at the 3rd overall pick. And you still have an opportunity to move up. You have an opportunity to get into the 1st overall slot this week in something that is not implausible.
Okay, first of all, the Giants, I called it this morning. All week long, we heard that Neighbors and Tracy were not going to play. And I said on my show, I said, they're doing it right. The Giants do not want to win. They're doing it right. Then this morning, I hear Tracy and Neighbors are going to play. And I says, oh, shit. I said, the Giants are going to win the game. Now, follow along here, nephew. If I'm the Browns, whether it's Barry, DePodesta, Haslam, or Jesus Christ, I don't necessarily want this first pick because I don't have confidence. If you watched one snap of BYU dismantle Colorado yesterday,
Yep.
I don't want Shedeur Sanders. I do not want him to. I don't want to take him at 1, 3, 5, 10, or 11. I'll steadfast. Give me a defensive lineman. Give me an edge rusher, and I think we could get him at 3, 5, or 7.
You're reading my mind here because this was my next question. If whether it's 3, whether it's a top 5, whether it's top 2, or whether it's 1, do you really trust this brass to make this decision? Here's my thing. I have been, and this is, I think if you're Barry and if the Haslams, this is where you're going to have once again, which it could be the story and the theme of the season, where you might have conflicting interests. The Haslams, I think if I'm the Haslams, I want to lose next week, hope for a chance for the first overall pick. If you're Barry, if you're Stefanski, you might have incentive to win this game next week, so you're not the first overall pick. Right. Now, that might sound counterintuitive. That might sound stupid because you just tanked this week. You've obviously been tanking for a couple of weeks here. But at the end of the day, this has been one of the least riveting and least impressive college football seasons I have seen in a long time from talent. There's talented guys. There's good people per their position. The quarterbacks are underwhelming. They really, really are. What are you going to do with Travis Hunter, and or do you trust this organization to make the right call with that decision? So first of all, you have to hope Travis Hunter is a good NFL player, which he very well could be. Second of all, you have to trust Barry, Stefanski, Schwartz, Ventrone, Ken Dorsey.
Well, hopefully two of Ventrone and Dorsey aren't there
to position him correctly. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a very unpopular opinion. If I get the first pick, like right here, New England sitting at number 1. If the Browns get the first pick, I very strongly consider trading out of that. Get rid of that first pick because I don't. A quarterback in 25 is not going to solve your problems. I'm sorry, Joel Patonio, and I'm sorry, Myles Garrett. It's not going to solve your problems in 2025. So if whoever's making the pick in 25, I think even at 3, I think I wouldn't be opposed to trading back. Who was the guy? Who was it a few years ago that kept trading and trade? Was that Randy Farmer?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
He kept trading and trading and trading.
Barry likes doing that too, though, and you have to think. So here's the thing here. Let's do so. We're here. Let's bring this back up. Let's do some investigative reporting right on the spot. All right. Let's say it is even this right now. Let's take it at face value here. Okay, New England. They're not taking a quarterback.
No, they got Drake May and they love him.
Tennessee. So right now, this is what I'm looking at, and there's a long off season. You got pro days, you have this, you got people working out, you got the combine, you got interviews, you have, there's a lot happens from the end of week 17, week 18, whatever may have you to night 1 of the draft. So much happens. This is what people forget. So, Zach Wilson bumps up because of this one throw he makes in a pro day, rolling out to his right, and he throws it 60 yards, costs people their jobs, that throw and that play circulating social media. New England doesn't need a quarterback. Tennessee takes Sanders. Okay. My point is here, without getting too far deep into the weeds, Jacksonville doesn't need a quarterback. It doesn't look like Carolina needs a quarterback. Half of these teams in the top 6, maybe including the Browns, aren't going to take a quarterback. And still, I don't think a lot of people would really like this, but you might be able to trade out of this top 3 or top 4, top 2 pick. And when it comes back around to you, you still might have a shot at Cam Ward. You still might have Milroe will be there. If you're in love with one of these guys and you pick up another asset, at least it gives you the flexibility at the end of the day And this is why people really, really dislike this. And I understand it has not worked. It doesn't work all the time. Nothing works all the time in this league. And people are upset. Oh, the best player available. Well, that's why GMs do it, because you might be able to trade and maneuver around and get the best player available regardless of your needs, or you might be able to draft someone who's a younger replacement of somebody else and trade them and go on from there and have more assets. And I know people are going to say, well, quarterback is sexy. Well, Travis Hunter is sexy. I think this front office, and I think it's actually pretty wise, is going to be edge or tackle in the first round this year.
Okay. So those were excellent points you made. And as I'm looking on my computer screen here, from what I've heard, from what I've read, as of now, the Giants are in love with Cam Ward. Okay. So we'll go a little farther down the list. If the Jets, I think, would be in the market for a quarterback. The Raiders would. There's no way the Bears are. There's no way the Bears are taking a quarterback. So now you're at the Saints. So out of the top 10, those are 3, possibly 4 quarterbacks. That's it that are taken. Okay. Out of that top, at the most. Okay. So I think we are in position, and I was all set on offensive line or defensive line, but my partner on the other show had a great point the other day. I think we could build the offensive line later in the round, or later rounds, because you could find those big guys that we can teach, we could train. The defensive line, we need those athletic freak studs. Okay, I'm all about building these edge rushers, and although, was it you or him? Somebody said in our text chain today that McGuire and the guys we got now, they're playing well. But that's not good enough, though. It's not good. It's not well enough.
So here's where I think it's interesting, because 12 months ago with the offensive line, I would have agreed with you. I don't know if Bill Callahan was here, I would agree. We could take a guy in the second round and third round and make him work, and he could be almost like a first round talent. I don't know if Andy Dickerson is doing that. The offensive line has been so bad this year. So bad. Can't even get aligned right. Whatever it is, coaching this and that. It's up to that, I think.
But did you see Dickerson's gone? Did you see the reports that Vrabel has essentially
Vrabel's gone too, though.
But Vrabel has been essentially the offensive line coach the second half of the year. So Dickerson's gone, his assistants are gone. If Vrabel has been the offensive line coach, I mean, he stepped in and took that role over, is what has been reported by somebody's pretty legit people on X.
Sure.
Also, real quick on Vrabel, and I threw this out there earlier. Don't be surprised if Vrabel ends up in New England. Don't be surprised if he ends up in New England.
I think they're going to give Mayo another year. It's only his first year. I don't know. Teams are nervous about moving on from people, especially because this season has shown that the impatience is really bad for you. And it's not come from coaches, more or less, but it's come from the quarterbacks, the Darnolds, the Mayfield, stuff like that. It's only 1 year for Mayo. Give him another full year with Drake May next year. Give him another top, 10 talent, top 5 talent, and see what he can do. Vrabel is going to be, I think Vrabel is Ohio State, or maybe he stays with us.
Mayo is a deer in headlights, and his decision making and his post game comments, to me, if I'm Robert Kraft, I mean, and here's why. If I'm Robert Kraft, here's why I make the decision after this year. Gerard Mayo was groomed to take over for Belichick.
This is true.
He had 4 or 5 years under Belichick. So this wasn't a quick decision. It wasn't like he was groomed, and he has not handled it very well. Okay. We knew there would be growing pains with this outfit, but it's bad. It's very bad. And maybe they will give him, but here's the thing. Ryan Day is not getting fired, buddy. Ohio State may, Ohio State gets past Oregon, they're winning the whole thing. And I think Ohio State will get past them because outside of Will Howard's stupid play,
right,
they should have won that game last time. But go on, let's get back on point.
And there's a lot on the line in all realms of sports here. But here's my biggest thing. We're gonna talk draft, and then I want to touch on something really quick, and then we'll get out of here. But follow along here. We're gonna talk draft. You're gonna talk coaching staff. You're gonna talk personnel. You're going to talk free agency, off-season stuff. The Haslam, Barry, and Stefanski. The biggest issue with this team, and I know we agreed to not speak about him, but the biggest thing about this team since we added Deshaun Watson is that your sequencing has sucked. You could make all the right moves, and they haven't, but you can make all the right moves. And if they're not in the correct order, it's either not going to turn out right, or you missed out on an opportunity, or you came up short somewhere. You're well aware of this as a small business owner. You can do everything right, and if it just scales upward. Here's the thing. You have to make a decision right now. After next week, you have to make a decision if Watson is playing a snap for you next year. If you go a whole nother offseason and a whole nother, we're going to put him on the pup and it's 6 weeks and you're shrouded by this uncertainty, the whole offseason is going to be lost, and next season will be lost as well. So figure out what you're going to do with Watson. I want to see a report one or 2 days after we lose this Ravens game or win it, that says Deshaun Watson is going to be paid to stay home next year. That is the first thing you need to do in your sequencing, so everyone is on the same page. I don't need the Haslams thinking that Watson is going to play, Barry thinking that he's not going to play. Barry turns around and drafts a quarterback. Stefanski doesn't like any of the moves. Everybody stays, clean house, whatever it needs to be. You have to be on the same page. You have to figure out what's going on. You have to make sure that the quarterback position, everybody knows what's going on. And if it's Watson, it's a slap in the face to the fans, but at least someone made a decision. That's the 1% of respect I could give them. As long as somebody makes a decision, I don't care. It cannot be another offseason of, it may be Watson, maybe not. I need some clarity.
Okay. You're exactly right. Make a decision, even if it's wrong. I love that. But unfortunately, I feel here's the decision. The decision is what they're going to tell you. It's going to be more lip service. When Deshaun Watson is healthy,
right,
he will come back and he will compete for the job. That's what they're going to tell you. I don't know if they're going to maybe they will give him the job. Okay. Maybe they expect him to lead him. He's got one more, he can come back. But what's their answer? What are they going to say to the fans? What's their answer going to be in the meantime? You know what I'm saying? They're going to have, but that is like you said, a slap in the face to the fans that we have to. So now, if he's on the pup for the first 4 games,
right?
Okay. So now, and then he's going to take 4 games to get. We're looking at another 1-6, 1-7. And now, how are we going to dig out of that?
So at this current moment, regardless of who it is, if it's Winston, if it's Cousins, if it's Rodgers, if it's a rookie, no, hold on here. This team, the future of this franchise and the immediate future is Watson isn't available for 6 weeks next year. And we're like 4-2 and 5-1, and there's no conceivable way you could bring him back. That's what this franchise is hinging on right now. If you're 2-4, 3-3, even if you're 3-3 next year through 6 games, he's available for week 7. Let's just say hypothetically, they're going to consider putting him back out there. At the end of the day, speed is the name of the game in this offseason. Make a decision on Watson. Make a decision on your coaches. If you want to fire them. Just get rid of them. I don't need 2-3 weeks of exit meetings and stuff like that. Ventrone, Gone after it goes to zeros next week. Ventrone should be gone. Dorsey should be gone. DePodesta mutually parting ways. They're transferring his job title to the Milwaukee Bucks organization. God, we can only hope.
I don't think DePodesta. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you'll see the ancillary moves in Ventrone and Dorsey, but I think they're going to stay.
More lips. This team is all lip service.
It's all lip service. And real quick, because you guys are excited, I don't want Cousins or Rodgers. If you've seen the film this year, and I know Stefanski has won games with some shitty quarterbacks, Cousins can't move. He's slow, and his arm's about as strong as mine. Give me Justin Fields. Give me somebody that has some life, okay? But Rodgers, he could keep the ayahuasca in New York. I don't want the drama, because then here comes Devontae Adams, and then Rodgers is going to be bringing all. We have enough bad aura and bad karma here in Cleveland, and now you want a 45-year-old, or he'll be 41, Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. But everything, and I left off Fields. I'm not saying those are my preferred candidates. I'm just telling you from what my previous statement was. I would rather have somebody signed and somebody who has capacity. And Andrew Berry, when I say somebody, it's Andrew Berry. I would rather have somebody signed and Andrew Berry go, he's our week 1 starter, than it's the draft rolls around and your quarterback room is Watson and DTR. That can't happen. No. That can't happen. No. But you know that's a high likelihood. That's Winston walk. All right. Well, sorry. Excuse me. Maybe it's DTR, Zappy, and Watson going into the draft. Can't happen. There is no after this performance last week, this week, and probably next week. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will do a nice job in the spring league for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, honestly, Jeffrey.
But what are they going to do? Cut him?
Who want? Absolutely.
He's under control though. They love that. It's a Barry draft pick. He's under control.
So Jeffrey. So I mean, so was that Phillips kid. So was
Barry don't
Schwartz,
like cutting his own draft.
But
you don't like it.
Here's the thing: the tape does not lie, and there's tape on this kid.
Oh, he definitely sucks.
The decision making is terrible. He's holding the ball. The tape doesn't lie.
He looks like he played 1 year at like a MAC school, not 5 years at UCLA.
5 years. And he makes me look like a buffoon, because he is what I love in a quarterback out of college.
Me too.
He played 5 years in a pro system. He had a lot of games under his belt, and then he comes and he sat for a year behind and nothing. Oh,
it's almost impressive how bad he is. Honestly, it's like I don't even know how this is possible. All right, let me wrap up on this here, because I know where you stand here, but I want the viewers to. I'm probably not gonna give you a huge argument here. I just like to hear the sides. I put this out recently. Let me get this off right here. Should the Browns consider trading Myles Garrett if the return was 3 first-round picks?
3 weeks ago when we first brought this up, I jumped up out of the chair, was banging on my high chair, and I said, absolutely not. He's a pillar of the community. He owns a piece of the Cavs. For Myles Garrett, they probably should do it. And also, when I said 3 weeks ago, he didn't put out that little, he didn't come to the podium and say, so if we don't do something in the off season, then absolutely. If we do what you're saying and we bullshit around and we're going to wait for, he made it very clear they're not interested in the savior, waiting around for the savior to come back. Okay.
Right.
Because he mentioned about Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but nothing about the savior. So but here's the thing. You're going to trade him. To me, it's a loaded question, because I'm not trading him to Detroit for 3 late first-round picks.
Right.
I need 3, but that's
still first rounders are first rounders. I don't know if a team that's high up in the draft is going to give us their firsts.
And he's
He's 29.
He's not going to go to he doesn't. Why would he want to go to the Giants or the Raiders? I mean, he's not going to go to the Jets, you know. So
here's what really startled me about everything that's come out about Myles. Originally, he goes, "I need to see a plan." That's totally understandable. I have to respect that because you don't want, unfortunately, and it's probably the only good PR that this city has had, consistent PR the city has had since we've come back is Joe Thomas. There's a mold of someone who's literally been with the team for their whole entire career. You don't want to be another Joe Thomas. You don't want to be a Hall of Famer who's never won anything, one playoff game. Right. A huge step up from Joe Thomas. He actually won a playoff game and was in a tight game for to go to the AFC Championship game. Let's not go to old wounds. But the second I heard him say he spoke with LeBron, what advice is LeBron going to give him?
Get the hell out of Cleveland.
Oh yeah, keep signing extensions. No, LeBron said, "Hey, I was a lot bigger of a name than you are. I did it on live TV. All you got to do," and Myles isn't even like that. I know Myles wouldn't do that. All you got to do is whisper to your agent that you want to trade. I think that's what this offseason may come down to. If you don't have You're right. If you don't have a Justin Fields move, if you don't have we're going to pay Watson to stay home, he's not going to play next year. We pinky promise you that it won't happen. Unless you have something like that. If we turn around here and it's like March, April, whenever the draft is, I think that he might ask for a trade. And when you ask for a trade, we lose a lot of leverage. We're going to lose probably, it probably goes from 3 first-round picks to maybe 2. But I genuinely think if you started calling now, you might be able to get 3 first-round picks. I don't want it to happen. I would love a Myles Garrett statue, of course.
But you can't fault him one bit. Jeffrey, you can't fault the guy one bit for wanting. I don't think he wants to get the hell out of here. But how could you, after playing that game today, he played his ass off. He kicked their ass, and then he sees that offense. I wouldn't play next week. You know what? Do the Ravens need that? If the Ravens need that game, I mean, they're going to Lamar. What if Lamar, think about this. What if Lamar needs that? What if he needs those stats for the MVP race? Oh my God. He's going to go, although I don't think he should probably get it, but they'll probably give it to Josh Allen. Yeah. But what if, just think about that. Lamar is going to go ham. It'll be,
I don't even want to think about it. All right. One more game left. Then we got free agency, coaching staff, front office, Haslam's draft. We got all that stuff.
I have a question before we go.
Please.
Do you think very likely if Thompson, Dorian's going to play next week, we get run out. Are you convinced that Kevin and company survive Monday morning? You're convinced, like I am, that everyone's in place and they're comfortable? Or do you think you think the Haslam meter, you think Jimmy's about ready to freak out and clean house?
See, the Haslam meter is funny to me because I think the Haslam meter works in the coaching staff keeping their job because the Haslams want to portray that we're a competent franchise so bad. They'll run it back with complete schmucks just to try to prove to the league that we're so well run. Stefanski, regardless of what happens next week, I'm serious. It could be 50-0. Stefanski's safe. Schwartz is safe. Ventrone, Dorsey moves on the margins like this. Oh, hey, guy. Look over here. The bullshit is over here, but look over here. We fired 2 guys. We fired Dorsey, Ken Dorsey's not a coordinator who's going to win football games in the AFC North. He hates running the ball. He threw 47 times they would DTR in a game where the opponent only scored 20 points.
Will they let Stefanski go? Will they make Stefanski hire another coordinator or can we go back to Stefanski's offense or get a Stefanski guy?
I'd give the reins to Stefanski. I think he's the only competent person left from between Barry, Stefanski, and the Haslams. I would, if I had to trust one of them with the future of the franchise, it would be Stefanski somehow.
And if I'm Stefanski, I go to them and say, listen, it's if we're going to run it back one more year, let me run the offense, let me call the plays, and that that may be an outside prediction. You may see that may be Stefanski may be the one to get the hell out of town, because he
Yep.
may say it may be a mutual parting of the ways, because he may want things his way and they may say no, because I think he should run the offense his way, because Dorsey should listen. And we're going to go now, but Dorsey and Dorian Thompson Robinson, we're going to hook him up. You could tweet to The Rock, hook those two guys up with The Rock, and they're going to, I'm telling you, they're going to do great in the UFL. Both of those guys are going to do great playing football in the spring league.
Fair enough. Well,
that's it for me.
You heard it here first. That's Robert from Chalk Talk with Billman and Valori. Go check them out. Link will be in the description. Go check them out. Make sure you subscribe. I'm Jeffrey from the Cleveland Pulse. And with that all being said, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all.